Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Push with Nick and KP. I'm KP, and here today we're going to be running through an NXT recap. This is the June 2nd edition of the show, and right at the very top of this edition of NXT, we did get an announcement that the NXT Great American Bash will be taking place later on this month. That'll be June 28th, so prepare for quite a few references towards that show in this particular recap. So, as per usual, we're going to break things down as we normally do, go through the night from start to finish. Let's discuss all of the happenings on this episode of NXT. So, first and foremost, we would begin things off with Zaria going one-on-one with Lizzie Rain. This basically essentially be a number contenders match for the Women's North American Championship, although technically not officially would be the case. But we would have the Women's Champion herself, Tatum Paxley, joining the action at ringside, being on commentary, and just overlooking what would happen in this contest. This one was quite a good opener, to be fair. Both women really bringing out there and just setting the pace for the evening. And was a great back and forth display of offense from both ladies. As we go to our finish in this matchup, we do see Lizzie Rain looking for a springboard, some sort of maneuver, but she does get caught literally in midair by Zaria, who actually transitions into a really nice German suplex, follows up then with a spear, and then her F5 to get the victory here in this matchup. It would then be announced afterwards, after Zaria would look to hit another F5 on Rain. Tatum actually gets into the ring, gets off the commentary, steps up to Zaria and tells her to stop doing what she's doing. Zaria does so, to be fair, and Tatum Paxley, as a result, offers her a North American Championship match for next week. So we will be getting Zaria going one-on-one with Paxley on next week's NXT for that Women's North American Championship. Looking forward to that contest. Should be great, and we'll see if Zaria will pick up that victory and become the new champion, or if Tatum Paxley will retain. But for now, Zaria with a win on this opening matchup of the show. Going into our second match of the night, this would be a tag team match. It was actually meant to be a match that would take place later on in the evening, and that would be Darkstate taking on the team of Tavion Heights and Miles Bourne. However, during the entrance of Darkstate, they would be attacked by Shaquan Sugars, so unfortunately that match will have to be postponed. We'll talk about that one a little bit later on, but this one actually would then see OTM going up against the Culling after a couple of weeks of bits and bobs here and there. Spears, later on in this matchup, is quite a decent matchup, to be fair. Good tag team offense from both teams, just working together really nicely. But Sean Spears maybe gets a little bit too into the matchup, maybe feels himself a bit too much, looks to try and take it on all himself, and gets a little bit too carried away because Spears looks to hit his C4 on Lucian Price, but Lucian actually escapes the maneuver, shoving Spears towards Vance, who's still on the apron. A little bit of a coming together between the two, but nothing too serious, no real physical contact. Price then looks to kick Spears, but actually instead, Spears gets out of the way and dodges. Price then actually hit Nico Vance instead, knocks him down off of the apron, and then still continues his offense. Hits a spine buster on Sean Spears before then tagging in Bronco Nima, and then the two hit their double team sort of swinging slam maneuver to get the victory here in this matchup. But yeah, OTM really rocking it. There's only a matter of time, though, where we got a question whether OTM will be doing anything of serious note here, because we've been seeing these two, doing decent stuff sporadically for a number of years now. So they've really got to try and get this momentum rolling. They've got to try and push towards that NXT Tag Team Championship matchup. The Vanity Project have done absolutely nothing with those belts for some time now. So we do need some sort of team stepping up to the plate. Can that be OTM? I think it can, but it's just whether they will be given that opportunity to do so. But every time they get into the ring, I feel like they put on a decent showing. It's just whether they can actually physically get the booking and backing from the back team. So we'll have to see what happens. But for now, it is a good win for OTM here against the Culling. Next up here, we would have a 1-on-1 matchup where Jackson Drake of the Vanity Project takes on Tate Wilder. There's been an opportunity for both men to really just impress out here and to see what they can do. And it would be another victory here for Jackson Drake, who has been very much a pivotal role here of the Vanity Project, leading the charge. Even though he doesn't have gold around his waist, he's been putting in some serious effort in the 1-on-1 matches as of late. Jackson, he does a great job here towards the end, but it's actually all Tate Wilder. Tate Wilder looks in great form, as he has been in recent matches, to be fair, but he normally gets overzealous, gets caught up in his ways, tries to do too much, and gets a little bit overconfident. And he didn't really do that in this matchup, I don't think. I think he actually did sort of try and get the victory when he could, but it didn't work out. He goes for a Hurricanrana from the apron, looking to hit on Jackson Drake, but instead, Milo Lockwood, who's at ringside, shoves Drake aside, and then actually is able to catch Tate Wilder, picks him up in sort of like a carrying powerbomb position, bombs Wilder against the ring post and onto the apron before rolling him back into the ring. And Jackson Drake gets up to the top rope, hits a 450 splash, and is able to get the win here in this contest. So yeah, just keeping that momentum rolling here is Jackson Drake, doing so well in singles competition here recently, getting win after win after win. Yeah, it's only a matter of time maybe before he gets a title opportunity of his own. Obviously, then maybe perhaps joining the rest of VP in a championship gold. But yeah, great win for him over Tate Wilder, who is still yet to get his first win on NXT. Coming up after that, we would have our first promo of the evening, and this would be lolavice hitting the ring, the NXT Women's Champion, fresh off of her win over Izzy Dame last week. She would look back on that win against her as well, just saying that no matter the challenges, she's continuing to prove people wrong. She then asks who's next, saying that she relishes the challenge before issuing a warning that whoever steps up will be embarrassed and knocked out. Kalani Jordan then arrives, asking if it's finally her time, that she can't possibly be denied any longer. She compares their history of going from place to place, going to different brands, saying that when Lola does it, she gets praise. But when she herself did it, she got questioned and actually kicked out of the locker room as a result. She questions what she needs to do before saying that she's beaten Lola, Ren, and Kendall recently, and that's when we do have Kendall Gray interrupt. Kendall says that she also wants the NXT Women's title, and says that her and Lola have unfinished business before saying that she has an unwritten receipt with Kalani Jordan. Lola gets kind of fed up with the conversation going back and forth, hearing the same stuff that she's heard for weeks now, and she basically just instantly issues a number one contenders match for the next week of NXT between Kendall and Kalani, and the winner of that one will face her at the Great American Bash later on in the month. Once that sort of challenge has been issued down, both women seem to be pretty keen to accept it. Kalani then shoves Lola as she's sort of like walking away, and she actually sort of like knocks into Kendall Gray. Kind of a weird thing here because she sort of like does a spinning back fist. Kalani gets out of the way of it, and then she actually hits Kendall Gray instead. So yeah, inverted offense there. Kalani just very pleased with herself afterwards, just enjoying the fact that she's just caused the disarray between the two ladies, and she heads out of the ring whilst Lola does check on Kendall Gray. But yeah, there you go, there you have it. Next week, number contenders matchup: Kalani Jordan versus Kendall Gray. Winner will face lolavice at Great American Bash. So from our first half to our second half here of NXT, coming up next is one of two championship matches in the evening. This will be for the Men's Speed Championship. Lexis King puts his gold on the line against Ramian Moreno, who had that big victory last week on NXT against Nathan Fraser. This will be a decent enough speed matchup. You know, you get 5 minutes, you can only do so much, but I feel like these guys did have a bit of a technical array of offense here in this matchup, going back and forth several times, keeping the pace quite high. And yeah, putting on a semi-decent contest as a result of that one too. We see Moreno really picking up into second gear here, absolutely on a roll. He attempts the springboard moonsault, but he misses the target. Lexis King gets out of the way and dodges. Lexis then bounces off of the rope and forearms Moreno, following up with a coronation to get the victory here and to retain his Speed Championship. This one didn't go without its interferences. We did have the birthright on the outside, sort of like playing favors here. Noam Dar was also in attendance, but he was very much sort of like calm and measured, as Moreno looked to try and deal with Birthright himself more than anything, really. But yeah, decent enough matchup. I quite enjoy this one, to be fair. Just a simple, quick burst of pace, and it results in Lexis King still your champion. So yeah, what a win for Lexis, and Moreno, I guess, back of the line, maybe next time would be the better result. So, coming up next, we're going to our tag team match that we were meant to be having earlier in the evening. That would see Darkstate finally taking on the team of Mars Bourne and Tavion Heights. No Saquon Sugars here in this one to begin with, and we would have the matchup take place. This is quite a physical affair here. You got four men who were, pretty athletic in size and stature, and they put on a decent matchup back and forth. You know, it's going quite nicely, going quite smoothly too. Like I said, very physical, sort of a bit aggressive in parts as well. And I think it almost seems like Tavion Heights has a chip on his shoulder here, looking to try and prove something. Unfortunately, though, what he did prove is that he was the weaker link of this match because he did get pinned. So Darkstate get the victory here in way of Bourne getting knocked off of the apron, for Darkstate then hit the Doomsday device onto Tavion Heights and pick up the 1-2-3 in this match. So yeah, it's just it's a good sort of way of keeping momentum here with Darkstate. Obviously, that sort of like change of mentality recently, kicking out Saquon Sugars. Got to get those wins to keep on moving. Mars Bourne suffers a second loss in just a matter of a few weeks, which isn't looking too good for him. Tag team matches aren't going so well for himself. I think he needs to go back into the singles competition soon, try and sort of like build his stock back up again. He is the North American champion after all. But yeah, after the matchup, we do see a bit of a stare down because Saquon Sugars does appear in the crow's nest, staring down at Darkstate. I guess offering a warning is to say, I'm not done with you guys. I took out one of you earlier on in Cutler James, and now I can take out you guys as well when I'm ready to go. So yeah, darkstate with a win. We move on then to our main event of the show, which is the NXT Championship matchup. Tony D'Angelo goes one-on-one with Cam Hendricks. This come after that tag team victory, on NXT recently, where Cam would be quite impressive. I guess more Mason Rooks, but he would technically get the victory in the matchup. Nonetheless, he gets an NXT title matchup in this main event, and he comes out the gates absolutely flying, really, really quick pace, hitting a big kick, going for a cover, kick out 2, and he keeps those moves coming on in, knocking down the champion a few times here, getting a couple of covers here and there, but no 1, 2, 3s, just 1, 2s. The matchup then goes on to a point where, you know, they're trading back and forth. It's going quite nicely, and we go onto the apron. Cam Hendricks sort of like just drops Tony onto the ropes, and he actually goes to ringside, does Cam, as a result of the move. He's sort of like quite spent by this point, crawls over towards a steel chair that's on the right-hand side of ringside, sort of like to the left of the announcer table. And we then see, as he's going onto the steel chair, almost to pick it up perhaps, you could say, Mason Rook appears, stopping Cam in his tracks, basically saying, you ain't grabbing this chair, not a chance. Cam, sort of like stunned by the sudden appearance of Mason Rook, turns around and gets dropped onto the announce table by Tony D with a back body drop. He then gets rolled back into the ring, bounces off the ropes looking for a clothesline but misses. Tony D does underneath, and after that bounce off the ropes, Tony D just launches Cam up and hits that dead to rights, that spinebuster maneuver, to get the victory here and retain his NXT championship. So, and still your champion is Tony D. No surprises there. Was a decent enough main event, though, with the title on the line. But obviously, we're moving on to bigger things here. Didn't expect Cam to win. And the bigger picture is next week on NXT, because after the match comes to an end, we do see Naraku, who promised to basically ensure that Tony would walk out of here with the NXT championship, because they are destined to collide at some point. And Naraku passes the NXT championship to Tony D, giving him a bit of a stare down. But also on the outside of the ring, we do have Mason Rook watching on, sort of like just looking ahead at that NXT championship, because he's not happy that Naraku is ahead of him in the pecking order, or is he? Because next week we will have a 1-on-1 matchup between the two men, Naraku and Mason Rook. Winner of that one will then face Tony D at the Great American Bash. So yeah, there will be a big matchup there to see who will become the number 1 contender for the NXT championship. But either way, this episode of NXT comes to an end after this whole sort of interaction there at the end of the matchup. Not a bad episode, generally speaking, here. Quite a few things going on. We see that vindication here. Darkstate are, they're looking to keep their momentum rolling, but they're still being troubled by Sykwon Sugars. We've got Lexus King retaining his title, as well as Tony D in a couple of champion matches. Lola has her almost next competitor, I guess you could say, in way of a number 1 contenders match next week. And then we do see wins, obviously, for Zaria, as well as Jackson Drake in this show. So yeah, it's a pretty decent episode. Not the best, but pretty good nonetheless. Quite consistent in its booking. And obviously we're now building towards Great American Bash, which is the next PLE, which I'm excited for. 7.5 for me for this episode. Not bad, not great. Nicely in the middle. Weighted on more towards the good side than the bad. I liked it. It did its job. But for now, everybody, what did you guys think of NXT? Did you agree with me there? Do you think 7.5 is a bit too high, or do you think that's probably around the right rating? We'd love to hear your thoughts here and your interest levels in Great American Bash coming up very, very soon. Let us know in the comments what you thought of this one. Also, hit a like and subscribe to our channel to keep up with future releases. We've got so much coming out in just a few moments, because we have got, obviously, SmackDown, Raw Recap, NXT's constantly each and every single week. But we are soon going to be starting a NXT project where we're going to be watching every single NXT PLE there's ever been. So yeah, reviewing them all, doing recaps, just seeing how they all play out, and seeing how they sort of like are to watch even from now. Obviously, they're going back a long time, so we'll see how they fare to this day. But for now, everyone, this has been The Push with Nick and KP. We'll see you all soon. Take it easy, and goodbye for now.